One of the greatest pains in life is comparing yourself to others. Almost all of us have felt it at some point. We look at someone who is more successful, more talented, or living a better life and think to ourselves, why not me? Why am I not like them? This comparison slowly eats away at our happiness. It makes us blind to our own strengths. And in today's world, with social media, this pain has become even sharper. We see perfect lives on screens, people traveling, winning, achieving, smiling, and, in that moment, our own life suddenly feels small. But here is the truth. Every person has their own path. Just like a fish was never meant to fly, and a bird was never meant to swim across the ocean, you and I were never meant to live the same life as someone else. Today's story is for anyone who has ever felt, I will never be good enough. Listen carefully, because every part of this story holds a lesson that could change the way you see yourself. There was once a small, peaceful village near a vast and beautiful forest. In that village lived a boy named Ethan. Ethan was kind-hearted, hardworking, and full of potential. But despite all this, Ethan was not happy. Because Ethan had a habit that slowly destroyed his peace of mind. He always compared himself with others. When he saw his friend Liam achieving the highest grades in school, he would feel worthless and think, I wish I was that smart. When he saw his neighbor Ryan living in a big house and wearing new clothes, Ethan would whisper to himself, I wish I was that rich. Even when he saw someone running fast in the playground, his mind would say, why can't I be like them? Day by day, these thoughts grew stronger, and slowly, Ethan began to lose his joy. He no longer enjoyed studying. He no longer enjoyed playing. Even in moments of laughter, his heart carried a heavy sadness. One day, a wise old man came to the village. His name was Grandpa Joe. Everyone loved him because his words carried wisdom, and people felt lighter after speaking with him. When Ethan saw him, he gathered courage and went up to him. He said, Grandpa, I work hard, but when I look at others, I feel small. No matter what I do, I feel like I'll never be good enough. Grandpa Joe looked at him with kind eyes and said softly, come tomorrow morning to the oldest tree in the village. You will find your answer there. The next morning, Ethan walked to the old tree. The forest around it was alive with morning light. Birds chirped in the branches, and the air was fresh. Grandpa Joe was already waiting for him. He asked Ethan to look around carefully. What do you see? He asked. Ethan looked around and said, there are so many trees. Some are tall, some short. Some are full of fruit, some have none. Grandpa Joe smiled and said, now imagine if this apple tree compared itself to the coconut tree and said, why am I so short? Or if the coconut tree wished it had sweet fruits like apples. How would that sound? Ethan laughed. That would be silly, Grandpa. Trees can't compare like that. Exactly, said Grandpa Joe. And yet, people do the same thing. But now tell me, Ethan, when you look at this forest, how does it feel to you? Ethan thought for a moment and said, it feels peaceful, beautiful. Everything looks just right. Grandpa Joe nodded. That's because every tree has its own gift. The apple tree gives fruit, the coconut tree gives strength, the pine tree gives shade. They are different, but each one has its own importance. Life is just like this forest. Every person is unique. Every person has a gift. Then Grandpa Joe led Ethan to a pond nearby. The morning sun sparkled on the water. Fish swam gracefully under the surface, while above them, a bird soared freely in the sky. Grandpa Joe pointed and said, now imagine, Ethan, if the fish said, I wish I could fly like that bird, would that be right? Ethan shook his head. No, Grandpa, fish are made for swimming. Birds are made for flying. Grandpa Joe smiled. Then why do you want to live someone else's life? Why do you compare your path to theirs? You to have your own talents. Maybe you just don't see them yet. But if you find your strengths and use them, you will realize you were never meant to be like anyone else. You were meant to be yourself. Those words touched Ethan deeply. For the first time, he understood the truth. Comparing himself to others was like a fish trying to fly. That day, something inside him shifted. He promised himself he would stop comparing. Instead, he would discover his own gifts and build his own path. Slowly, Ethan began to focus. He studied with joy. He worked with passion. He trusted his own journey. And as the months and years passed, Ethan grew stronger, wiser, and more confident. Years later, Ethan became a successful man. He built his own business through hard work and dedication. People from the entire village respected him and came to him for advice. Whenever someone asked him, "Ethan, how did you become so successful?" he would smile and reply, "I learned never to compare myself with others. If a fish tries to fly, it will always feel like a failure. But if it focuses on swimming, it can own the entire ocean." And so, Ethan's life became a reminder for everyone. The sun and the moon never shine at the same time, but both light up the world. In the same way, you don't have to walk someone else's path to shine. You only need to walk your own, so stop comparing, start living, and discover the gift that only you can bring to this world.